we're going to make a sweater for this cute little dog here. And before we get started on making the templates, I'm just going to take some measurements for my reference of how I want it to fit and go. So I'm going to start kind of where the collar normally is and measure the length of her back, which is about, I'm going to go 14 inches or so. And then next measurement, I'm going to do the torso. I want the sweater to kind of end like right here, not all the way around, but just kind of the part that you'd be able to see. So I measure that, and I got about 12 and a half or so. So I'll keep track of that. And then finally, the sweater is going to kind of come around and Velcro underneath here. So I kind of want this neck circumference here, and that's going to be about 11 inches or so around her neck. And then the last measurement I need is, so I'm going to have a Velcro here, and then I'm going to have some straps coming and Velcroing underneath here. So just behind that paw, I need to figure out where I want that strap to start. So again, I'm going to go from her collar area where that is going to start, and I'm going to come down here, right about here, about 5 inches is where I want that second strap to start. So I will go ahead and write these measurements down, and we'll get started building that template. So we're going to make this template. I have my measurements that I took from the dog written down here. Neck circumference was 11, body was 14. That was from the collar to above the tail a little ways. And then the torso was about 12 and a half. And I didn't go all the way around the torso. I just went kind of right to where I want the sweater to end. So the first thing I'm going to do is I have this craft paper here. I'm going to fold it in half so that I can have my working space. I'm going to just do kind of freehand one side of the template. That way it'll be nice and symmetrical and I won't have to worry too much about it, making it even on both sides. So I'm going to start out with, I wanted the length of the sweater to be about 14 inches. So I'm just going to make some markings here right on my center fold there. And I want it to be about 14 inches. And I had a little bit of wiggle room with those measurements because of the seam allowances. So that's going to be 14 inches. And I want it to come around the neck, kind of a little bit of a curve. And so I'm going to actually probably extend a little bit more this way. Before I do that measurement, I want to see how wide I want it to be. I'm going to start out with pencil. Since I'm working on half of it, I'm going to divide this by 2. My torso, I wanted it to be 12 and a half. So 12 and a half divided by 2 would be 6 1/4. I have this, if you can't see it, my center fold right here. 6 1/4 would be about right here. So that's how wide I want it to be. And then when I measured the dogs from the collar to right behind that first leg, that front leg there, was about 5 inches. Right here would be the leg then, and I want my strap to come behind that. So I'll probably have the strap come out to about right here. Let's see here. I'm going to want that, I just go to like right here. So my strap's going to come out there. This is the narrowest portion. And then my neck collar, I want it to be a little curved. What I did is I just grabbed a dinner plate from my kitchen. I think this is, how many inches is this? Probably a 10-inch dinner plate is what I'm doing for my curve. And I have my line here where I have it marked. I'm going to have a little bit of, I think like a collared notch what I'm going to do. So I'm going to just put it up here for a little bit. And then this is where I'm going to end up. I'm going to make just going to go like this, I think. So like a collar, almost like a turtleneck type of thing. And I'm going to do a 90-degree angle this way. I have a notepad here. I'm going to use this for a 90-degree angle. Well, not really 90, but at least I'm straight. Like this. And then I'm going to have a kind of a strap here to Velcro underneath the dog's neck. Let's see here. Again, I'm just using straight ruler to do my markings. Okay, so I want this strap there, that strap there, and then my tail end is going to finish here. I'm just going to kind of curve this around, and I got to end up at this line. And I'm going to come out for this strap. I kind of want this a little bit more, not a square right there, so I'm just going to maybe do that instead. Yeah, I like that one better. Okay, then I got to connect this strap here, kind of swoop it in. Just gonna, and I'll go over this again with Sharpie markers so you can see it a little bit better. But I think that'll be all right. So what I'm going to do next then is I will darken these markings so you can see it a little bit better. It may not be exactly on my line, but so this is going to be the collar, kind of the turtleneck portion. This little buckle here is going to be underneath that secures the front part of the sweater. And the strap will go underneath the dog, in between the front and back legs. And this one here, I kind of like this one better. I'm gonna come out this way. Okay, so let's see how we're doing our measurements. We have about 14 inches there. I ended up a little bit, oh no, that's about 6 1/4. I think that's okay. Same, this was a little bit wider, but I think it's gonna turn out okay. And then I've got my straps here. I have about 6 inches worth of straps on the torso side and about 2 inches on for underneath the neck there. So what I'm gonna do next then is I'm gonna just fold this in half again. And then I'm gonna cut with it folded, that way I'll have a nice symmetrical template when I'm all done. And I will speed up this video so you don't have to watch me cut in slow motion. All right, so now that I have it cut all the way around, once I unfold it, you'll see that I have a nice symmetrical template. Once I perfect these and figure out the sizing of all the different sizes, I will post a link in the description for if you're interested in using my templates, you can. But anyway, this is going to go underneath the dog's tummy. I'm going to put some Velcro on there when I do it on the fabric. And then here, it's going to go under the neck. So the front 2 legs will come out there, and this will go over the back of the dog's body. So I think we're ready to paste this on some fabric and get to sewing. All right, so now that we have the template, it's time to trace it onto the fabric. I'm going to do mine with 2 different types of fleece. So I'm just going to save time, I'm going to stack them together and then only trace and then cut only one time. So I'm going to put it doesn't matter since it's a symmetrical template if they're right size facing or whatnot. Since I'm using a Sharpie marker rather than a fabric marking pen, I want you to be able to see it better. I'm going to trace mine on the back side of my main color. Just going to put my template here, make sure that my fabric pieces are where I need them to be and that I'm not missing anything. It's really close on the gray part on the bottom here, but I think that'll be okay. So now I'm just going to go ahead and use my marker and trace my template. I will speed up the video here during the steps so that you don't have to take so long to watch me. All right, so now that I have it traced, I have to go find my rotary cutter and we'll cut it out next. All right, next we'll cut it. If you don't have a rotary cutter and mat, I would suggest using a scissors and then tracing the template individually on each of the pieces so that they're the same. Otherwise, with the scissors, it might just shift a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this out now, right along my traced lines. And again, I'll speed up the camera so it won't take so long for you to watch. All right, so now that I have that traced, I will now assemble it so that they are right sides facing. So this is already the right side. This gray one I do have to flip. All right, so right side facing up. And now I have the right side facing down. I'm just going to get them to match each other. Okay. Now go ahead and use some pins and pin these edges together so that they don't shift during the sewing process. And you don't need that many because since it's fleece, it kind of clings to itself anyway. But I'm just going to throw a few pins along kind of each of the sections here just to keep it extra secure when I sew. Again, I will fast forward the video. All right, so now the process or the next step then is going to be to sew around this whole perimeter of the project. You will want to leave like a section about this wide, so maybe 5 inches or so left unsewn so we can flip the project right side out. I'm going to do that right here, and sometimes I forget to do that. So what I like to do, just a little tip for you, is I like to make a little X with my pins. That way when I get to that, I'm like, oh, that's right, I'm supposed to stop here. Just something that's been helpful for me when I sew. So go ahead and sew this together now with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, pivoting at each corner, and we'll come back here next. All right, so now I have that sewn all the way around, leaving that opening here at the bottom. The next step is very important. I want you to go ahead and make little snippets along each of the interior curves and then at each of the corners. So that way when we flip it right side out, it lays nice and smooth. So for the rounded corner section, I just take my scissors and I cut right up to that seam, but make very careful sure that you do not accidentally snip the seam. Otherwise it's gonna kind of come apart there for you, and you don't want that to happen. So just snip right up to the seam on curved edges. So here, 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 and here. And then the corners, you're gonna wanna just snip that corner piece off. You can kind of see just that corner edge, not the seam, but right up to it. And then also very important, these interior corners right here, you're gonna wanna kind of do the inverse and just snip inside here. I'll show you, right up to there so that it separates up into that seam. Otherwise, when you flip it right side out, it's gonna be really goofy at that section. So I will speed up the process, or speed up the camera here, so during this step right now. All right, so now I have all of my snips. I just double check to make sure those interior corners are snipped. My edges are all done. Next step then is going to be to turn it right side out. So find your opening, and I like to start out here at this first little notch up here, and I kind of use my finger just to get it started. Same for this section right here, that part of the collar, and then I can kind of pull it towards the center. Do the same for here. Use my fingers to point it inwards. That way when I get it in right side out, I kind of know where those straps are, otherwise they're kind of hard to find. And then same for this strap. Now that I have those corners all kind of out, I just go ahead and pull it through and do it the rest of the way. Now that you have it this way, now you can take and pull it a little bit more out. You can see I have that started. It's easier to pull. Next then is going to be to use, you can use like a pen that's not clipped on, or even like a crochet hook. This might work here. And go ahead then and push out those corners so that they are nice and pointed. If you're using fleece, you don't want to push too hard, otherwise it's gonna look like it's stretched out. You don't want it to look that way, you just want it to look nice and crisp. So do that for each of the corners. All right, so next then, kind of this last sewing step is going to be to top stitch the whole entire perimeter of the sweater here. And to do that, you're gonna just make sure the edges of each of the seams are kind of pulled out towards that edge so that they're right on the end of the fabric and not like that. So just make sure they're on the edge. And I like to do is I like to pin it in place. So I kind of just use my fingers and manipulate it so that it's right on the edge. And then I put a pin in there and I work my way around. I will fast forward the camera so that you don't have to watch this in actual motion. I'll speed it up for you. All right, and then when you get to the very end where that opening is, just tuck those raw edges inwards a little bit. I kind of just put my fingers inside there, pull it a little snug. That way it just kind of naturally folds where that allowance is. And then go ahead and pin those raw edges so that they are in alignment with each other. And now we're ready to sew and top stitch this around. I have found with fleece, for instance, if I get too close to the edge of the fabric, it kind of gets stuck in my machine a little bit and it doesn't feed through as easily. And so then I end up pulling it and then it gets all ripply. So when I top stitch this, I'm gonna probably do more, like maybe a 1/2 inch or maybe even a little bit more around this perimeter so that it lays nice and smooth for me. But it's truly a personal preference. And so you can choose how close to the edge you want your top stitch to be. When you do the opening though, however, you are gonna wanna be right on that edge. Otherwise those raw edges might sneak back out on you. So go ahead now and top stitch the perimeter next. All right, so now I have that perimeter of that top stitch. I don't know if you could see it super well. Maybe on the back side you'll be able to see. I have it all top stitched around the edges. I pivoted at each of the corners, did a nice little curved portion there. Now we're gonna apply some Velcro because when we put this on the dog, it's gonna Velcro here, and then the front legs will come out here, and then this will Velcro under the tummy. And so to best do that, I just bought the sew-on Velcro. It's a little bit wider, it's a 2-inch strip. I know they do make this available in 1 inch as well. I wanted mine a little thicker here on these straps. So what I'm gonna do, I like to just connect the hooks and loops right off the bat, so I make sure I cut the exact same size. I'm just gonna get this all to face each other and kind of stick before we cut what we need. All right, so when you do the Velcro, you're gonna want one side of the Velcro on the printed side, and then the other side of the Velcro is gonna go on the inside so that when it comes together, it meets right there. So how much do I need here? I think I'm gonna cut about here. So when I cut it together at the same time, I know they're gonna match. I'll have one go here and one go here. Again, whatever opposite side, it doesn't matter what's front, what's back, as long as that they're opposite when they put them on. And then for this one here, I'm gonna have it go the whole length of this strap here so you can better adjust it around the dog's tummy. And you can see my 2-inch Velcro, it goes right to the edge. I'll probably trim that down a little bit, but I'm gonna have that start right about there and probably end right about here. So I will cut this now. And I think then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna angle this just a little bit, make it a little bit more narrow on this side here. And as long as I have them together, I know it's gonna be the same size. Same view here, I'll just angle that. Let's see how that looks. Might angle a little bit more, because when I sew this on, you'll be able to see the seams. It'd be nice if it matched up a little bit with my top stitching. All right, I think that's good enough for what I needed. Okay, so now separate those two. Okay, that's some strong Velcro. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, these are the hooks. Those are the little bit more rough ones. I'm going to have my hooks be on the same side of the project for both this one and this one. So I'm going to set those to the side for now. And I'm going to start here with the, I guess this would be considered the loops. So I'm going to just pin this in place where I want it to go. All right, and then the same for the tummy strap. And then that's ready to be sewn. I'll kind of top stitch around the edge of that Velcro. And then I'm going to go ahead and right away place the next one. So what I do then is I kind of fold it like it's going to be, and I have this across from where I want it to be. That looks about right. So I will pin this in place. Now again, this one is on the print side, not the lining. As long as you're opposite on each side, you'll be just fine. And then the same then for the tummy strap. Since I have this one cut, I want to make sure that I have kind of that more tapered end on the edge of the strap here, like I have the tapered end on the end of the strap. And I'm just going to fold this over to make sure that's where I want it, and it is. So I will pin this in place. And then next step then is going to be to sew the Velcro in place. So we'll go do that next. right, so now our Velcro is sewn on. I don't know if you can see, I did an X. I did around the rectangle and then I did an X stitch. I just like the way that looks a little bit more professional. And I did that to each of the pieces. And so now you can see how this will kind of go on the dog. A cute little sweater. I think it might be cute if you added maybe some buttons up here. That'd be kind of cute. Let's go see how it fits the dog. All right, let's see how this fits you, huh, puppy? So we got the neck here. It's gonna come around and go around here, and then the strap underneath her legs. It's pretty good, Nicolea. Yeah, all right. And I think with this collar, it might be cute if we just roll it out this way to have a little bit of an accent color right there. Let's see how that fits. Show the camera. You sit down. No, you don't know how to do that, do you? What do you think? Can you look over here? Should we do a little turnaround so everybody can see how cute that is? And that goes just right. That was about perfect. I think if I did it again, I would maybe make the straps just a little bit tighter underneath, because I think I could probably make this even tighter, but it doesn't quite connect there. But I will tweak that, and when I get my sizing figured out, I will post a link to the templates if anybody's interested in using my templates. I hope you enjoyed that video. Thank you.